Allahu, 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 Allah.
If you look at Isaiah, was how old? 22 years old. This is 2 Kings, right?
Ahaziah.
Ahaziah.
Who is he?
Sure.
So Joram.
So Ahaziah was 22 years old when he became king, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Athaliah, the granddaughter of Omri, the king of Israel, right?
That's what it says.
Good? That makes sense? 22, am I right?
Okay.
That's what it says? Yeah.
So if you look in the same Bible, but now we go to 2 Chronicles, chapter 22:2, Ahaziah was 42 years old when he became king, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. Now somebody might be like, oh, it's a different Ahaziah, but his mother's name was Athaliah, the granddaughter of Omri, right? So the reign was only 1 year, so it's not like, you know, different.
Was it king of Israel? It depends.
Of Jerusalem, yeah.
Jerusalem.
Right?
We'll
And
go
both
back
of
to
them.
the other one?
Sure, no problem. Jerusalem.
He reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. He was 22 years old when he became king. Yeah, I'd have to look at that again for sure.
Right? So this is just one. So let's take a few more. Right? Here, 2 Chronicles. You can help me pronounce it if you like.
Dude,
Jehoiakim, I'm with you, bro.
pronunciation guy. Jehoiakim?
Jehoiakim, sure, we'll go with that. Was 8 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem for 3 months and 10 days, and he did evil in the sight of the Lord. So how old was he?
8 years,
8 years old
when he became king and reigned in Jerusalem.
And again, Jerusalem, 3 months. Okay. Now we'll go back to 2 Kings 24:8. Jehoiakim was 18 years old when he became king and reigned in Jerusalem for 3 months. You see, like the same kind of inconsistent numbering. But this is just, I mean, I have, like you can see, I have many. Even if you look at the genealogy of Jesus in the New Testament, right? And Jacob begotten Joseph, the husband of Mary, to whom was born Jesus, who is called Christ.
Jacob, yeah.
Right, so Jacob is the father of?
Joseph, the husband of Mary.
Husband of Mary, father of Joseph, got it. So in Luke, then you have now Jesus himself began his ministry at about 30 years of age, being supposed the son of Joseph, the son of Heli. So who's the father of Joseph here?
Well, who's Eli?
That's good question, right?
Yeah.
So it's not Jacob, right? And I mean, you can when you go home, you have a Bible. I'm sure you do a side-by-side reading. Go to Matat, go down the lineage. They're all different, right? So what happens is these are the accounts of men, right? People give their accounts, and in accounts of men, you have discrepancies. It happens, right? Like we're at a park, and you know somebody asks, "What color was I wearing?" Somebody can make a mistake, and that's perfectly understandable. But then that's not the words of God, right? The words of God are perfect, without contradiction, without numeric mistakes.
Right.
Even if you look at how did Judas die, right? How did Judas die?
By hanging.
Excellent. So now we have here in Acts. Now this man purchased with a field with the wages of his iniquity. So what did he do with the money? He purchased a field with it, right? And falling headlong, he burst open in the middle, and all of his entrails gushed out. So there's no hanging here, right? He fell, right? But as you mentioned, you will also find the other account in the Bible as well. Okay. Right? Then he threw down the pieces of silver in the temple. So now here, he didn't purchase a field, right? He threw the money in the temple and departed, and then went and himself. So did he hang himself? Did he
fall
open?
from the branch?
Right, did he? Right. Where is that, right?
That's a good question.
And if you do fall from a branch, you don't fall headlong, right? Headlong is,
I don't know. I'm trying
I think
to
you know
right.
physics, right? So like when you're in movement and you fall, your head goes first, right? When you're straight and you fall, your feet go first, right? And how does that burst his entrails? What did he do with the money?
That's a good question.
I mean, how many times did the crow before Jesus was betrayed? I mean, we can tons of them, right? I mean, the numeric ones are obviously the most obvious, right? Here you have Solomon had 4,000 stalls of horses and chariots and 12,000 horsemen whom he stationed in the chariot cities with the king of Jerusalem, right? Now, here, same Solomon had 40,000 stalls of horses and chariots and 12,000 horsemen, right? I mean, here we have...
Yeah, the numbers are pretty confusing. Huh?
They are, right? So now,
What do you do with that kind of information?
good question.
Like, were you a Christian before, and that kind of crumbled your faith in a way?
Not really.
Where
So
you're
let me explain it to you, right?
Yeah.
So I was raised in a secular family, right? My family is from a Muslim country, but I don't have any Muslim friends growing up. So growing up, all my friends were either Christians or Catholics. So I used to go to church with them, just out of friendship. So I used to go to Bible studies. Are you from San Diego? Or? Okay, so in San Diego we have a church called Horizon off of Genesee and Balboa. So I used to go there on Wednesdays. We used to have this huge Bible studies, and this was actually given to me there, right? Somebody gave this to me as a gift to read. So I started to mark things. I mean, it's not just a contradiction. There's many things that didn't make sense to me or I had questions about. So when you see clear contradictions that are clear numeric contradictions, obviously that can't be the word of God, right?
Well, no.
It can be?
Not contradictions, but when you look throughout the Bible in its entirety and you have to connect the dots.
Sure, so
We have to
Isaiah
then,
being
like-
42 or 22, how do you connect those dots? Isaiah being 42 or 22 is just a clear numeric mistake, right? It's got to be either one or the other, right? Or can you be 22 and 42 at the same time? We have dog ears.
That's a slippery slope because
Right.
throughout the Bible we always see the number 7. Like, are you aware of those verses where it's like 7, 7, 7 days, 7 this, 7
Sure,
that, 1,000,
right? We've signed
1,000,
40 a lot
1,000.
as
It's
well.
like, is it truly 1,000 or 40, 40, 40, 40?
Yeah.
So
But
numbers
we're
can
talking
be a
about
little tricky.
ages, right? 8 years
still a
old or
number.
18 years old. So you're saying that that's not really an age?
Well, it could also depend on just the laws. What is grounds to become a king in Israel at a certain age when it comes to legal?
If the rule is only ruled for 1 year or 3 months, you can't be 22 and 42. You can't be 8 and 18. You cannot have 40,000 and 4,000. These are clear numeric contradictions, right? Even if you look at the MacArthur Study Bible and some of them, he says this is an error of manuscripts, right? So this means this is not the words of God, it's the account of men. And the account of men can have error. That's understandable. But then it's no longer the word of God, right?